Oh, I've got to remember to record. Okay, vale. Vamos a grabar. We're going to record for anybody who cannot make it with us today, because there are always a few who have appointments and such. Muy buenos días, buenos días. ¿Cómo están ustedes? ¿Están bien?
Está bien,
Sí,
está
Más
bien.
o menos.
bien.
Bien. Excelente. Muy bien. Y gracias a todos. Thanks, everybody. I did listen to all your numbers. Yay. Gracias. More and more of you are getting better and better with recording that, and you're putting your names in, and you're like, you're going great guns, just like a pro. Lo que vamos a hacer, what we're going to do is we're going to split our day between some numbers practice, some practice with the verb ser, and then kind of riffing a little more on why the heck do we have all these confusing verbs that mean I am, are, is? Why do we have all these? Oh, what a pain in the behind. And oddly enough, if you ever learned French, a couple of those elements don't even exist in French. They're really kind of peculiar to Spanish. I don't know if Italian has them. So it's kind of a pain, but we'll kind of talk a little bit about hopefully how to distinguish between using the verb ser and the verb estar, and talk a little bit about a little bit more with that verb I, there is, and plugging a few more things in, and knowing what the forms of ser are. The only page I think you might need, vamos a ver, I'm going to look up, ¿dónde está? We have a little page on ser, uy, ¿dónde está? Aquí. I'm going to show you the page you may want, because I'm sure I sent this to you last week. Sí, bien, sí. If you printed this out, if you're the kind of person who doesn't like to bring up two screens, that's fine. But just so you know, you may want to hunt that down. We're going to give you answers to that, because we do want to make sure everybody knows what the forms, what the conjugations, that means what the various forms of ser are. So you may want to hunt that page up if you printed it off and you kind of left it to the side somewhere. If you're like me, everything gets littered all over. But números, ser, we'll take some time to start to introduce a little bit about vocabulary with la casa, a house, which is going to be your next chapter. Anyway, we won't get as much time to do everything with the numbers that we want, but we'll do a little bit more. Okay, vamos a empezar. I'm going to start with something that goes back to pronunciation on numbers. Not the numbers themselves, but the pronunciation, because the difficulty becomes, and most of you, I want to tell you, I don't want you to take this hard or like it's a super big criticism, but this doesn't happen so much with those numbers from, I'm going to say 50 through 100. Can you see my IE and EI, or did I not send that through?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. See.
See? Anybody who cannot? Speak up now. No. Can you see the IE versus EI?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Heck, doesn't matter. Yeah, it might. Yeah, it does. Okay, it matters. So here's the scoop. Because the 40, 50, 60 numbers don't have those IE and EI combos, that doesn't get in the way with your learning those numbers so much. But with that 20 and 30 combo, it's kind of an issue. So a lot of times I was hearing, I'm going to add a little screen here. A lot of times I was hearing
Viente.
And
Oh.
viente is a big no-no, because that is not veinte. And similarly, a lot of times when I should be hearing treinta, I was hearing this. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. That's kind of troublesome. And
Ah.
so you know, para que sepan, so that
20.
you guys know. This happens a lot. Es muy típico. It is really typical. So as problems go, most English speakers make this mistake and tend to make it kind of frequently. So we want to eliminate getting these two wrong.
Okay.
Okay. Or any words, because you're going to encounter more words that have these EI and IE combinations. So how do we pronounce this when we see it? It is EA. EA. And this is called a diphthong. No, it is not
Yeah.
that thong, that undergarment thing that women like to wear sometimes. It is a diphthong, means nothing more. It's a fancy term. It means two vowels that are right next to each other. And the reason we get messed up with this is really because of our English background. IE or EI in English will do all kinds of weird stuff because English basically, okay, yeah, we got rules, but you know, not, yeah, but they're not consistent. And English rules are really weird, guys. They are weird. And you cannot carry over English pronunciation rules into Spanish because
Okay.
doesn't matter. Okay. No importa. Doesn't hold. I before E except for, no, forget all that crap because that ain't going to happen in Spanish. Okay. So
Okay.
IE, I know it, but you know what? It's burned into your brain matter. It
Yeah.
really is. And you need to know that if you struggle with this, well, you're normal to be struggling with this number one. And we got to just be consistent about thinking about what is the rule for how do we say it in Spanish. Okay. How do we say this in Spanish? So IE, or in Spanish, las letras I, E, I, E, I, I, right? But E becomes A. If you must think, if you are of a certain age and remember Happy Days, think Fonzie. But don't drag it out. Yeah. Okay. So if you must, you know what? Use whatever little brain tricks you can to remember that. Well, does it matter? Here's what happened. I'll let you read through that later, but this is an explanation of how English starts math. English has a whole bunch of pronunciations for vowel combos, and then none of them are valid in Spanish because Spanish does its own thing. And I talk about that, but 20 should sound phonetically like that. 20. 20. And really, you know, if we're going to be more accurate, that it's going to sound like the B. 20, right? So 30 will sound like train. 30. But notice not 30, 30. 70% of the game in Spanish, just saying it right, is knowing those vowels a, e, o, u, and keeping them pure, and not letting the English bleed over. Okay, so you guys noticed last week this problem with nueve, right? Nueve, N-U-E, like E-I and I-E, U-E becomes a thing too. U-E is ue. Almost like a W sound, isn't it? Yeah, kind of sounds like that. Ue. Okay, so does it matter if you flip the vowels around? Oh, I just forgot. I did an IE or an EI. This is not to instill paranoia. It probably will, but here's the deal. If you flip an EI and an IE and pronounce them wrong, sometimes there are different words that are spelled that way that you flipped it, but they don't mean what you think they mean. Yeah. Okay. So 20, but if you pronounce it Viente, it sounds a lot like viento,
Ento.
which means this, guys. This is viento. Viento. So when you want mean 20, 20, 20, think it's a vein in your arm. 20, 20, not viento. Because when you say, if you pronounce it, viente, viente, somebody who is a native speaker is thinking, what do they mean? Do they mean viento? Do they mean 20? They're trying to interpret what did you really mean? Because they've got other words that have similar but slightly different combos. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. Okay. Did you forget the R in vientre? And then it means this. Yeah. So, just like they're not sure if you forgot another letter when you flip those vowel sounds or not. And similarly, nueve, if you pronounce it as nuevo, well, then it means that, right? Or nueva, then it means that. Or if you forget the UE and you're thinking so hard on the EI thing that you pronounce the nueve as nieve instead of nueve, nieve, it means this thing.
No.
So getting
Well,
those
great.
vowels flipped around can mess up the native speaker who is listening to you because they're trying to interpret what word do you really mean? And now they're confused. Yeah. For example, seis. I know it's got an EI, seis. But if you leave out the I and sesos is this thing. Yeah. You can order tacos that have that thing in it. I know. I'm not kidding. Yeah, you can. And año versus ano, don't even go there. Yeah.
No.
That's ano, guys. That little picture is ano, which I'm censoring there. And this is año. So, yeah, there are a lot of things that were messed up. And sometimes even messing up the order of consonants can mess you up and get you to a wrong word. Cuatro, TR, cuatro. But if you flip the R and the T, cuarto, and then it means this thing here, or it might mean that thing there, a 15-minute time period. So what I'm saying is not trying to make you paranoid about it at all. No. But do be conscious when you check the spelling, when you can read the spelling of a word to get the order of those sounds right, because it can make a difference. Okay. A ver, let's practice a little bit. Vamos a practicar. Vamos a practicar. I'm going to bring up a screen. And actually, I'm going to flip my positions here because I got two screens going. And I think it's going to leave me being able to watch all of you easier if I put it here. Okay. A ver, we're going to take a look at the bottom half. Oh, and it's still messing me up. Here we go. Trying to make my screen big. Here's one of my problems, flipping back to Windows 10. Vamos. Aquí. Here we go. Now I got a full screen. I don't like it when I can't see everybody's face. No me gusta. Vamos a practicar. Ustedes van a practicar. You guys are going to practice a little bit. Van a practicar. Escribe el resultado. We're going to look at just some lower level numbers, things that were off of this top chart. And we're going to look at the bottom of this screen. We're going to look at escribe el resultado. And you're not going to write a thing. You're going to say the word. Okay. We're looking for the answer to the question. El resultado. The answer. We don't want to 5 plus 5. Okay. I could say 5 más 5. 5 más 5 is 5 plus 5. 5 más 5. son 10. We want the not product because that's multiplication. We want the answer for this. We want the number 12. ¿Cómo se dice? So, okay. ¿Quién sabe? ¿Quién sabe?
12.
12. Perfecto. Okay, I'm going to say the problem. You guys give me the answer. 25 más
Más
7 son
7. 32.
32.
32.
Okay. So
Yes.
now another little hitch I noticed that some people were pronouncing 32. 32. Make sure you've got that eat word just ever so briefly in between the two. 32. 32. And they are going to all slide together. 32. Okay. Vale. Okay. Siguiente. Next. 28 más 10 son
38.
38. 38. Bueno, fantástico. 8 más 13 son
21.
21.
21.
21. 21. Magnífico. 36 menos 3 son
33.
33.
33.
Vale, magnífico. 20 menos 5.
15.
15. Vale, fantástico. 17 menos 6 son
11.
11.
11. Perfecto.
11.
10 menos 10.
0.
Yes.
0.
0. Vale, magnífico. 14 menos 1 son
11.
13.
Yes, it is.
13.
13.
13. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Un poquito, vamos a cambiar. Don't say anything. No digan nada. Don't say anything. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to send you out into little breakout rooms. I want you to say there are with a number and whatever that thing is. So I'm going to review what these things on the screen are. This is going to be a brief breakout room. You're going to work with one partner. And I want you to construct a full sentence. Okay. You're going to say the equivalent of there are number candies. So don't say it now because don't give it away. I, and then you're going to plug the number in and bombones. Okay. Bombones. Here we've got galletas, cookies. See? Here we've got pelotas.
Pelotas.
Little balls, okay? I am going to magically send you out into breakout rooms. And I will, after you get into your breakout rooms, I'll be able to show that screen to you. I don't expect you to remember magically in your brain. What did you just see on that screen? This is not a psychology test. Good God. Okay. Bien. Vale, vamos. There may be one group of you that has a group of 3 just because we've got an odd number of people here. Yes, there'll be one group of 3. So split it up between you. But this is only going to be very brief, okay? I'm going to open it up. I want you to open up your join room and then I will send off the little pictures. And then I'm going to flip the pictures to a different set. And you'll need to hit your join button and then I can send your picture in. Can you find your join button there, Loretta?
No,
There should be a join button. I don't know. It depends. Oh, you're on an iPad. I don't know what it looks like on an iPad. It looks like something different. Let me do this, Loretta. Because we
That's
want to make
okay.
sure.
I'm out of town.
Can you find your join button or not?
No.
Okay.
no.
I'm
No.
going to move Loretta to a different room since you can't find that. Okay.
Really doesn't know.
And I've got to. Hola, Felipe. I noticed you asked for help. I need to send
No.
the picture in. I
Oh, yes.
had somebody who had a technical problem. So I'm
Oh,
going to leave and then I'm going to send the picture in. Okay.
Okay.
Vale? Bien. Let's see if Windows 10 will let me get out. Will it let me get aquí? Here we go. Leave room. That's what I need to do. Leave room. Okay. There we go.
Oh,
Okay. Could you see it or no?
we did,
No.
and then it went away.
Okay, I think because I came back in. Let me try one more time. If it totally fails,
But
send me
Felipe
another.
said he could not see it, but Jenny could see it.
Oh, if that happens again, send me that flag warning right away and we'll come back. Okay. Let me leave the room and see if that'll fix it. Okay, Loretta, I'm with you. Can you at all see the little pictures there, Loretta?
How do I say yes? Yes.
Can you? Okay. How about if
Oh.
you give me some of these ornamentos, right?
Okay. How do I say yes? Here?
No,
Yeah.
no. You can hear her, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I can. See.
Okay, so just talk back to her.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see the
Okay.
picture up on the screen with the ornaments there, Loretta?
No.
Okay. This is
Go ahead.
probably happening because of this is probably happening because you were not able to join the Zoom room and it's only bringing you in with me. We're only going to need to be here. I cannot show you the picture and everybody else who's in the room the picture, sadly. So we're going to bring everybody back in about a minute, okay? Real quickly. And then we will just carry on here. I have to be aware of that when you are in breakout rooms next time. So, okay. We're going to bring everybody back in a minute here.
Okay. Okie doke.
Aquí vienen. Here comes everybody. Did that work better than last time, Felipe? See or no? No.
We never saw anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lo siento. Okay, let's do this real quick. I'm sorry.
Well, that didn't
Perdón.
work.
I was waiting to
No
see if there was
problem.
another message coming through, but I didn't see your message. Okay.
No problem. We haven't seen anything too.
Okay.
Yeah.
We won't do that one again then.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's my system or if it's a Zoom thing. Okay. In case your pictures failed, perdón. Sorry about that. Let me send it up now for everybody, for the whole group. Todo el grupo, ¿dónde están todos? Where is everybody? Do I still have some people out there? I still have a few people who are waiting to join in. Da, 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 da. Got a couple people who've got that. Okay. I think they're coming back in. Okay. That was a little experiment that kind of failed. Perdón. Excuse me for that. Not working the way it was supposed to. That could be me. That could be Zoom. I'm not sure. So let's try to do it a way where we're all going to see it together. Okay. Vale. Perdón. Okay. Por ejemplo. ¿Sí?
Okay, 11.
Hay con ornamentos. You can see this now, right? See?
Yes.
Ah,
Sí. Sí.
Magnífico. Perdón. Okay. ¿Cuántos hay? How many are there? ¿Cuántos hay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
11.
Let's do a whole sentence. There are 11.
Hay
Hay
11 ornamentos.
11
ornamentos.
Okay. Hay 11 ornamentos. Excelente.
Ornamentos.
So here's what I want you to know. We would not say son 11 ornamentos. They are 11 because there are. We're just saying these things exist. That's the reason for using hay. The reason for using I is very specific. I is used to say there is or there are. It just says that these things are out there.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't tell me like real specifically where they're located or
Okay.
anything like that. Okay. But we've got that. Okay. Naranjas. ¿Cuántas? How many? ¿Cuántas naranjas hay?
Ahí,
15.
15.
15.
Hay
Naranja.
15
15 naranja.
Hay 15. Hay
Hay
15. I could
15.
just say hay naranjas. Hay unas naranjas. There are some, but if I want to be specific, I can plug in a number with that verb I. I likes that number combo. It likes that because we're just saying these exist. Hay 15 naranjas. Globos. Globos are balloons. ¿Cuántos globos hay? ¿Cuántos? How many? ¿Cuántos globos hay?
18. Oh,
Hay
hay
18.
18 globos.
Hay 18 globos. Okay? Vale, magnífico. Let's take a look at these. Bombones. Let's go back to our bombones.
Bones.
¿Cuántos bombones hay? ¿Cuántos? How many? ¿Cuántos bombones hay?
Hay 16.
Yes.
Ah,
Hay
4 y 4 hay 10 y
Seis.
4 y 4, 16 bombones. ¿Cuántas galletas hay? ¿Cuántas galletas hay?
Hay 30 y 20.
20.
Hay
20.
Hay
20.
20.
Hay 30. Hay 30.
oh,
Galletas.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Ay,
5,
caballo.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Hay 20 galletas.
Bien.
Bueno, pelotas.
20.
¿Cuántas pelotas hay?
Notas.
8.
18.
Hay
18.
18 pelotas.
18.
18.
18. Hay 18
Hay
pelotas. Bien.
18.
Magnífico. Okay, vale.
Right.
Most of you are pretty good with these lower numbers. Vamos a ver. Let's take a look. Let's look at some higher numbers. Okay. This range, most of you who recorded didn't have those confusing EI and IE things. So it was easier. Okay. But let's see if we can do the same thing with resultado. And then we're going to look at some practice with stuff you see in an ad. And then we'll do a quick dictation. Okay. So escribe, you're not going to write, escribe el resultado. So we're going to look at the answer again, not the, I will say the problem. You will say the answer. See, 20 más 30 son 50. You guys will give the 50 part, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
45
40.
más 2 son
40.
47.
47.
Y 7.
47.
Siete.
Ok.
42.
77 más 7 son
84.
84.
84.
40 más 25 son
60.
65. 65. Fantástico. Bueno, 25 más 30 son
Where she is.
50
50
y 5.
50
y 5. Bien, vale, magnífico. 90, let me get the second. 90 menos 8 son
82.
82. 82.
80,
65 menos 10 son
50 y
55. Bien.
55.
Bueno, 80 menos 4 son 76. 76. Muy bien. 78 menos 10 son 68. 68. Ok. 99 menos 10.
9.
89. Fantástico. Ok. Lo que vamos a hacer, what we're going to do next, we're going to take a look at some prices, precios. ¿Cuánto cuesta? The question is going to be, ¿cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? ¿Cuánto cuesta? Vamos a ver. Por ejemplo, quiero números. Quiero números más. Sí. Eso es. El razor a la izquierda, the one on the left. ¿Cuánto cuesta? I want to call on one person. Un voluntario. I'll take a volunteer first because somebody's being a guinea pig. Razor Spark Ultra. ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? Un voluntario, volunteer.
No.
Just the price. And don't worry with the 99. Think of the main number.
Okay.
Okay.
87
On the left or the right?
87
Well,
Oh,
that won't be 80. This is the razor. I'm looking way
Oh,
below the
40.
20%.
40.
47.
Yeah, 40.
47. Let's look at the one up in the, see, a la derecha, in the, on the right, way up on top. Radio Flyer 4-in-4. This one right up here, if you see my cursor going around it. Un voluntario, raise your hand, levanta la mano, por favor.
64.
70 y
4.
4. Now let's take a look at the yellow one, el amarillo, the yellow one, the morph board down in the bottom part. Lynn.
Okay.
89, fantástico. Let's see if somebody can put together 100. We need the long form ciento for this. Ciento. And then we're going to add on the rest of the number. And somebody, I want to hear one voice so that I can really analyze somebody. Levante la mano. Okay, Jenny.
so 50.
Ciento.
159.
Perfecto. Vale,
Oh,
bien.
good.
El unicornio, the unicorn. Alguien. Trish, give me the unicorn. El unicornio.
28.
28, perfecto. Okay. Strider 12. The Strider 12. Mark. 67. If you wanted to say 49, it would be con 49, just so that you know. Okay. Sharper image. Aquí, Felipe, por favor. Felipe, ¿cómo se dice? 59. 59. Excelente. 59. Ok. Otras. Aquí. Vale. ¿Cuánto cuestan? Más grande. Aquí. Aquí. American Vintage Beanbag. Con la bandera norteamericana. Right here. Okay. Shelly, let's get this price here.
39.
39. Perfecto, perfecto, fantástico. Fitbit. Y no importa, doesn't matter because they're the same price here, right? Fitbit, no importa. A ver, Mayra, ¿cómo se dice?
49.
49. Excelente, muy bien. Aquí, es un telescopio. Celestron. This telescope thing here, telescopio. ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much does it cost? Renee, how about this one?
84.
84. Excelente. Let's try to put together a bigger number. 199. It's a scary number. It's a scary number. And we need ciento to lead it off. Ciento to lead it off. Charles, you want to give it a go?
9.
Yeah.
90 y
100.
9.
Ciento.
100.
Charles, you want to do this number?
No, I can't get it. I'm on someone else.
Okay.
Okay. Ciento, no, 20 y
9.
9. Perfecto. Okay. So we're going to use some prices on or off. We're going to talk a little. We talked a little bit about the higher numbers, didn't we? See, bien, hundreds. See, no, we left it for today. We left this for today. We're going to take a look what happens with the higher numbers. When you add them on, just so you know, para que sepan, so you know. And all it's going to be is we're always building on, just so you know how these work. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how these work so that next week we can do some harder, bigger numbers. Because, you know, once you start talking about people in pesos, they're 20 pesos to $1. So, you know, they're going to sound like hideously high prices. Yeah, but they'll be in the hundreds. So we're going to look at just how the hundreds combine with the double digits first. And all it is we're going to add on the word ciento, 100. And then we say the rest of the number. That's it. Okay, no es muy difícil. And I'll send you this file so that you can see. Okay. I'll send you these files. And what I'll have you do is I'll have you practice this middle part on the recording next week. Okay. But we're going to look at just the top chart part. And the chart part, we're going to look at what's filled in here. Or better yet, I think what I'm going to assign you to do is I'm going to have you do the blank parts on the chart. That'll make it easier. Blank part, because then you don't have to do mental calculations or math problems. Okay. So cien, only when it's 100 and only 100 by itself is it cien. Otherwise, it has to go to the full word, the longer word ciento. We add a to onto the end. Ciento. So ciento, uno, ciento. Dos, ciento, tres. Notice we don't have any E yet. No E, no and word, because I don't need it. So you're going to go on the recording and do 104, 110, 111, all that. We're going to do the ones that are filled in. 120. And notice no word E, no word E, right? Just 120, right? But 121. 122. Okay. Now the E comes back. Why does the E come back? Because I don't have a 0 in this last place. Oh, I've got a number higher than a 0 in the last place. The E comes back. Yeah. 122. Let's take a look at the top of the chart. A 0 in the place. I don't need any E word. Just 130. Right? But now I've got a number higher than a 0 in the last digit slot. So I need 121.
Mm-hmm.
Uno.
131.
31.
Okay.
31.
So we're going to show you one example with a zero space. 140.
Yeah.
140.
But now I've
40.
got a number in this slot. 141.
41.
141.
I've got a zero in this slot, so no E word. 150.
50.
But now I've got a number bigger than zero in this last slot, so the E comes back. 152.
52.
Zero in that last slot. I don't need any E word. 160.
160.
But I've got a number higher than zero in that last digit slot. So the E comes back. 161. 170.
Ujú. 160.
Now I've got a number higher than zero here. So the E comes back. 177. 180. 190. So you're going to record the blanks
Okay.
on that same slot this coming week. Bien?
Okay.
You know, if you want to go hog wild and try to do some math problem things, hey, go for it. But just record the numbers and they'll be hundreds. So you're just adding on what you already know about 2-digit numbers.
Okay.
You're just adding it on to the word ciento. That's all you're doing. Yeah. See?
Sí.
Okay. So that's hundreds. Now, sadly, you're going to get numbers that are higher than 100.
Mm.
So yeah, we're going to take a look. I'm looking for my B page. Oh, here's my B page. Okay. And we're going to look at what happens with numbers that are higher than 100.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. Now, I'm not going to ask you to practice speaking these this coming week. Okay. We'll do that together. But
Okay.
there are definite patterns.
Mhm.
And I'll send you this page, so don't furiously copy notes.
Okay.
There are patterns that will happen with the hundreds numbers. And all you need to know as a tourist, really, are hundreds and maybe thousands. Are you going to be selling real estate for the, nah, no. So you don't need to know all those bigger numbers. You want to look at the pattern? Go for it. But you don't need it as a tourist, right? You might need up to the thousands. You don't really need to know how to talk about millions. Okay.
Okay.
And it's going to sound like millones. So you're going to guess. Ooh, they're talking about millions. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
May I ask the question,
Sí, sí.
Marilyn? On the 400, I see this, it's a C instead of a Q, like cuatro, it's a CU, CUA?
CUA? Cuatro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, see. Now, you're going to notice one in the hundreds sequence is in bold. That means it breaks the pattern. It doesn't do what logically you think it ought to do.
Oh, right.
That's why. So let's look at hundreds. When you get to 200, 300, 400, all they're going to do is build on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're going to build on those numbers. They're going to add that number on to ciento, but they're going to make ciento plural. It's going to become not ciento, but cientos with an S at the end. So look at what happens. And I'm going to tell you, ignore the middle column. Hundreds
Okay.
can have feminine forms. That's what the middle column is about.
Mhm.
However, when you are talking about prices with monetary units, which is what you're going to be hearing people say as a tourist,
Okay.
you're not going to need to use the feminine forms.
Okay.
So don't worry about that now. Because it's a non-issue when you're talking prices with people. Really, it's a non-issue. Do I make that feminine? And no, and if you made a mistake with it, nobody would care. It would be an NBD, no big deal. So look only at the left. We take the word ciento, we make it plural, we tag an S on the end, and now we stick a 2 on front of it. Doscientos.
200.
200.
200.
Literally, you're saying 200s.
Mhm.
200.
See that? Next pattern is going to be the same. We add on 3 and hundreds. 300.
300.
300.
300.
The next, we'll take the word cuatro. Cuatro. And add on cientos. 400. 400. And here comes the word that every 15-year-old I ever taught hated because they got it wrong, because it broke the rules and they memorized the rules. You think it should be 500, but it's not 500.
500.
It is keen. 500.
500.
And this is hard because they take cientos,
500.
drop the C that leads it off. They take the word from the 15 old Latin thing. Oh, that's why it's so hard. It sounds, it takes that first form that we used for quince, 15. Now, I can't tell you why it does that. It just does, but it is keen. So think of it as keen, and then it's easier to pronounce. 500. 500. Okay. And then we go back to a pattern.
600.
600.
600.
This only breaks a pattern a little because we drop the I from the siete word. 700. 700. Like we drop the I for 70. Same way. Okay. 800. 800. And then instead of nueve, UE, we go to an O, like we had 90, right? Like that same O we have with 90. 900. Yay.
Can you pronounce that again?
Sí, 900. So I'm going to say these all for you one more time, and then we're going to look at the 1,000. Okay. So it'll be 200. 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. And I'll send you a video to watch in its entirety. It's long-ish, that will go up through bigger numbers. Okay. And I think it does some little quiz things with you as well. Okay. Because hearing it more will get it burned into your brain. Okay. The word for 1,000 is what you need to know next. And 1,000 is really easy. It's mil. Boom. It does not morph into other things. 2,000 is 2,000. 3,000 is 20,000.
20,000.
100,000 is 100,000.
100,000.
Mil is always mil. Always mil. Always mil. It never changes. Yay. So mil is 1,000. And that's about as high as you need to go. So I'm going to send you this page. I will send you a video to watch and listen, because you need to do a lot of listening. Yeah. With numbers. And we're going to do now a little dictado, but this is going to be an easy, maybe a 2-digit dictado. Dictado means dictation. That means you're going to take any little scrap paper and just write the digit that you hear me say, because the most essential skill for you to have is somebody says a price to you and you know what that price is. right? Not to write it out in words, because nobody's going to ever ask you to do that. Okay. So I'm going to say a number, plain old number. It's only going to be 2 digits. It won't even go into the hundreds yet. Let's see if you can write down the number. And I'll say each number twice, only twice, dos veces. Okay. So just jot down the digit, the numeral, as you hear me say it. I'll say it twice, and then I'll show you the answer so you can check how many numbers you recognized. Okay, ¿vale? ¿Entiendes?
Vale.
Everybody got it? Sí, sí. Okay. Número 1, number 1. 42. 42. Jot it down. 42. Número 2. 93. 93. 93. Número 3. 60. 60. 60. Número 4. 38. 38. 38. Número 5. 74. 74. 74. Número 6. Número 6. 55. 55.
I don't know.
Bien, 55. Número 7. 67. 67. 67. Bien. Vale. Número 8. Número 8. 22. 22. 22. Número 9. Número 9. 89. 89. 89. Y número 10, el último, last one. Número 10. 15. 15. 15. Bien. Here they are. Check them. Your goal is to get 7 out of 10 right.
Ah,
7 out of 10 right. Ahí están. There they are.
Oh.
There they are.
Mm.
Ah,
Oh.
see.
Okay.
At least 7 right. At least 7 right from hearing it. See, yeah. Even if you got only 6, you're moving in the right direction. Ah, bien.
Yes, yes.
Fantástico. Okay. We'll do another dictado with 3-digit numbers. That means it's going to be 100 thing next week. La semana que viene, the next week, not this week. Okay. A ver. Bueno, any question on numbers, números, before we leave that and let that sail? No? Nada? Okay. Vale. Magnífico. I'll send you all those numbers pages. Okay.
Okay.
A ver. We're going to take a look at the wonderful world of ser.
Okay.
All the forms of ser. Ser means to be. It means to be. Here's the chart. It means to be, ser. And we need to just know these are the forms that we have to use. If I'm talking about yo, it can only be one form for ser, soy. If I'm talking to you and it's a familiar you, it has got to be eres. If I'm talking about one human being, one person, we call that third person, singular, one person. A guy, él, he represents guy. Ella, she represents a gal. Usted represents the formal you. It falls in that third person singular category. Curiously, it just does. Any one of those as a subject, él or ella or usted, a guy or a gal, doesn't matter, is es. Is. Nosotros means that I have people with me. We means I am in a group. Okay, so somebody, y yo, is the same thing as saying nosotros. And the verb we used for ser is somos. Okay, in Spain, they use a plural for tú. you guys who are buddies, Latin America ignores that. So I'm going to ignore it for you, but it is sois. Okay. The plural of él is ellos. It means they. The plural of ella is ellas. It means they, but an all-gal group. And the plural of usted is ustedes. And there is the you guys that only is used in Latin America. The you guys plural. The form of ser we use for that is son. Son. So there are our verb forms for ser. And this verb ser identifies. It puts a name tag on something. It tells what that thing is really like, what that person is really like, not how they feel, not what their emotions are, not what their health is, not where they're located, what they're really like, where they're from, what they do for a living, what they're really like. That's what we use ser for, okay? And, vamos a ver, I need to find, aquí, here are the answers for the little slots you had in that fill in the blank. Carmen es española. Carmen is Spanish. That is her nationality. So I've bolded what the verb should be, right? Carmen es española. Julio y Hernando, they're two guys. Okay, if I put a pronoun to fill in for two names, it would be ellos. Julio y Hernando son argentinos. They are Argentine. Okay, nationalities use the verb ser because it's never going to change. Where you're from is where you're from. Okay.
I have a question.
Sí, dime.
Are places like that, Argentina, Italy, are they not capitalized?
The places are capitalized. The nationalities are not.
That's
Yes. Unlike English, nationalities are not capitalized. Countries are. Cities are capitalized. Countries are capitalized. Nationalities are not. Okay.
gracias.
Doesn't matter when you speak because nobody sees a capital letter when you speak. There's the good news. Okay. Número 3. Somos italianos. We are Italian. Again, it's a nationality thing. Here is a question. Ustedes también, and también means also. Ustedes también son italianos. Are you guys also Italian? Are you guys Italian? And to pair up a verb form of ser with ustedes, it's got to be son. Okay. Bien. And the answer to that question, so we look at número 5, number 5. No somos italianos, somos alemanes. No, we're not Italians, we're Germans. Bien, see? Somos, we are. Yeah. Hola, soy Pedro. Hi, I'm Pedro. Now, they'll put a little yo in like parentheses. Notice, people hardly ever say,
No.
hardly ever say yo with that word.
So
Spanish throws out a lot of pronouns, subject pronouns, subject pronouns. The subject pronoun tells who does the action of the verb. And in Spanish, people typically, frequently throw it out. Throw it out. Don't bother with it. Because the only pronoun this can possibly pair up with is
Is I.
yo. So if I
Mhm.
say the verb by itself, you automatically know I mean yo. So why say yo? You say yo maybe to be emphatic, but most people drop it. Okay. Siete is something you only hear in Spain. Vosotras sois, here, you gals, Clara y Teresa. So we're skipping that one. ¿Es usted el señor González? Are you Mr. González? ¿Es usted? I know it looks like is you, but it's really
Yeah.
are you, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. We would say, are you? Usted Usted takes the same verb form as talking about one person. Like él, he, like ella, she. It does, okay? Las amigas de Miguel, Mike's girlfriends. And this doesn't mean romantic girlfriends. Amigas is just friends who are girls. Las amigas de Miguel means Mike's friends. Son peluqueras. They are hairdressers. Pelo means hair. Peluqueras are people who cut your hair. Okay. ¿De dónde eres? Where are you from? People will probably drop this word tú, because the only possible thing that eres can possibly pair up with is tú. So they drop the tú. ¿De dónde eres? Where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? Bien?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense so far? See? Okay. And these verbs, these don't really look like ser, S-E-R, do they? They are, wow, they morph into all different kinds of things. They go into different things, which we call conjugations. Okay. So we're going to take a look at why this happens. I, which you use with the bombones, right? I, with that you use with galletas to say there are things. I doesn't have all those changes that ser has. I always stays the same. I, yay. But it only says that something exists. So we need other verbs to talk about things, and they will follow each verb you get, whether it is, and I is going to stay out of the issue, but the other verbs besides I. Forevermore, every verb in Spanish will go into a special form that tells you yo, it's talking about myself. It'll go into a special form for tú, saying I'm talking to you. It'll go into a special form to talk about one human being, one guy, one gal, or the formal you. It'll go into a special form for they, ellos, or they, all feminine, ellas, or you guys, ustedes, they all share the same kind of verbs. And it'll go into a special form to say we, meaning I'm talking about myself, but I have people with me. A nosotros form. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yes.
And Spaniards were notoriously drop the yo, drop the tú, drop the nosotros, and just use the verb standing by itself. They may use a pronoun here because there are many potential people that could mean, refer to. They may use a pronoun here because the verb could be talking about many potential people. You may need to define that more carefully by actually saying it. Okay, so let's take a look. Ooh, oh, and I talked to you about why that does that. So those are the called, they will be called conjugations when we fit the verbs in. Here's when we use ser. We use ser to be when we want to, in context, identify who somebody is, tell what they do for a living, tell where they're from, tell what they're like, tell about relationships, like they're a mom, they're a dad, they're a cousin, they're a friend, they're a neighbor. Yeah. Okay. And telling time. Okay. And here are our forms of ser. I want you to notice something. You're going to hear forevermore, even other verbs that aren't ser, different verbs, they're going to get a mos on the end. That's going to mean it's a we verb. They're going to get an N on the end. That's going to mean they're a they verb. They're going to have a little S tagged on the end. That's going to mean it's a tu verb. Oh, they're going to be patterns that will start to emerge. Okay. There is another verb that also means to be.
Star.
It is estar. We haven't got this in English. French doesn't have this. Spanish has this. Estar means to be, but we use it in a different situation. And here is the little phrase that is kind of dumb, but helps people remember why we use estar. What you need to be able to do is, when you're speaking and you're thinking, oh my God, I've got all these forms of these verbs. And now I also have to remember which form to use and when to use ser or when to use estar. Oh my God, my brain's going to explode. You need a 50-50 rule to decide. It's either this or this. It's either ser or it's estar. And then just pick the right conjugation. Okay. For how you feel or where you are, always use the verb estar. It rhymes. And it's dumb, but it works. For how you feel or where you are located, always use the verb estar. So when we talk about location, when we talk about health, because that's how you are, when we talk about feelings, that's how you are, we use estar. We use estar in those contexts. So if it's talking about emotions or health or location, use estar. And if it doesn't fit that category, it's the other ones. It's these. That's your 50-50 rule. If it doesn't follow the little rhyme, it's these. If it follows the little rhyme, it's going to become these, the forms of estar. And I want you to notice what the forms of estar are. Estoy, for yo.
Estoy.
You had soy before. Now we've got estoy. Estás, we still get an S on the end, like eres had an S at the end. Estás. That's why you ask, ¿cómo estás? How are you? You're asking how you feel that day, right? ¿Cómo estás? Okay. Él está. He is. Ella está. She is. Usted está. You are. Está talks about one person or that formal you. Está. And we punch the a at the end harder. Okay. If we want to say we are, we're going to say estamos.
Vamos.
And notice we've got a mos, like we had somos, we've got estamos. Okay. Here's the vosotros form, the you guys form for Spain, for a buddy group, but Latin America ignores that, does not use it ever, ever, ever. And now, if I want to say not he is, but or she is, but they are, or you guys are, I need a plural form, and it becomes están. Están. Just like son had an N at the end, están gets an N at the end. Just like somos had a mos at the end, estamos gets a mos at the end. Yeah. Just like eres had an S at the end, estás has an S at the end. And and we had soy and estoy, like that oy thing at the end. Okay. I know. Oy, oy, oy. Now, ser and estar are both what we call irregular verbs. That means they don't follow a set pattern that regular verbs later on will follow. So you just need to know these are the forms of estar. And those other things you had were the forms of ser. But we need to know what situations to use them in. So for this chart you see right now, estar is used to talk about how somebody feels, what their emotional state is, what their health is, or where they're located. Boom. And if it's not one of those conditions, it's the other verb. Bien? Yeah?
Bien.
Okay. Vale. So that's why we get to a page like this. We switch from, okay, first we just say her name is, and that's a verb by itself. Se llama Simone Biles.
Se llama Simone Biles.
Her name is. Es gimnasta. I tell what she does. That's who she is. That's an identifier. Gimnasta doesn't tell you how she feels. Gimnasta doesn't tell you she's healthy or sick. Gimnasta doesn't tell you anything about location. It's what she does. Yeah.
Mhm.
If it's not how you feel or where you are, use the verb estar, it's the other verb. So it's ser. Es campeona olímpica.
She's a-
Olympic champ
Mm.
isn't a location. Olympic champ isn't how she feels. So it's got to be ser. Es campeona olímpica. Bien?
Mhm.
But now I don't say es emocionada.
Está.
Está emocionada de ganar medallas. She's excited to win medals. Excited is how she
Yes.
feels, or how you feel or where you are. You've got to use the verb estar. Está emocionada. Now, es baja y musculosa. She's short and muscular. That's not how she feels. I feel short today. No. That's not how you feel. There's no location. Muscular, no location. Okay, yeah. It's got to be ser, that other verb. Es baja, es musculosa. And now we're going to skip the next one for a minute. Es, because that's a little bit different subject. Es de Estados Unidos. She's from the United
from, yeah.
States. That doesn't talk about where she is now. It's got this key word, this key, super tiny, important word, de. And de
De
means
is from.
from. Where you're from is not where you are located now. Where you're from pairs up with ser, because it's got that little tiny, easy to miss word, de. De
Yeah.
means of or from. De is from. So origin, where you're from, is ser, not estar. But notice now I've got another teeny tiny important word that you might miss because you think it's only 2 letters. What the heck do I care? En means in,
En.
like in a place, in or on. En means in or on. Uh-oh, location. Ding, 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 ding.
Ser.
Estar.
Estar.
Está en Texas. She's
Está
in
en Texas.
Texas.
Good job.
Where you're located is not necessarily the same as where you're from. Bien? See? Okay. Bien. Okay. So you kind of see in that running narrative how that is different. I am going to send you some other examples, like the Simone Biles example. So you can see when we use ser, when we use estar, see if you can guess why. And look at least 3 of the examples, at least 3 of the slides I will show you for homework. And we'll kind of break it down if you don't understand why we used one verb or the other. That makes sense to you so far? See?
Yes.
Okay, because you learn it best by examples. Okay, let's start to tackle this one that we kind of ignored. Tiene el pelo negro y los ojos marrones. Oh, okay. That really says she has. Okay, we're going to take a look at this verb that means has, because you're going to see it in the next chapter that talks about rooms in the house, because it's going to talk about what kinds of rooms you have in your house. And now you need to know the have verb. The have verb is going to become important. Okay. And they're going to introduce in chapter 4, capítulo 4, they're going to introduce a whole bunch of house vocab, rooms in the house, furniture in the house, all kinds of stuff about the house. Okay. And they're going to introduce the verb have. Here is the verb have. It is tener. Think of tenacious, our word tenacious. You hang on, tenacious. Yeah. Tener means to have. Now, trickily, sometimes in Spanish, tener translates. Notice I didn't say means. Well, sometimes, let me amend that. Sometimes in Spanish, not always. Sometimes tener just means you possess something. You own it. You got it. Okay. What you think it should
Okay.
mean, have. Sometimes, but not always, tener is used in Spanish where we would use is. I'll show you what I mean. First, I want to show you the forms of tener according to according to tú, according to él, ella, usted, according to nosotros, according to ellos or ellas or ustedes. Tener is sadly a common verb. We use have all the time in English, right? Well, they use have all the time in Spanish as well. But sadly, it is irregular, will not follow patterns. Where the heck does this G come from? I got no clue, folks, but that's the way they say it. If you look at tener, the base word that comes from tener, there is no G in there. But you know what? For yo, you got to put in a G. Tengo. Tengo.
Tengo.
Tengo. I have. Tengo. Tengo. And then the G goes away forever in all the other forms. I can't tell you why. It just does. But looks what happens. Uh-oh, that I-E-E-I thing. Uh-oh, uh-oh. The I-E-E-I back. It's I-E, I-E, E-A, E-A, E-A. Tienes.
Tienes.
Tienes. You have. Tienes. You have.
Tienes.
But if I only talk about one person or the formal you, ustedes, we knock the S off the end of tienes and it becomes tiene.
Tiene.
Tiene. No silent E at the end. Nah, those English rules, throw them out. Tienes. Tiene. Tiene. Tengo. Tengo. Yo. Tienes. Tú.
Tienes.
Tiene. One person has.
Tiene.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to look at, these are all singular. Tengo, tienes, tiene. They talk about one person. Now we're going to look at all plural. If I'm in a group, I got people with me, it's tenemos.
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 And the mos, oh, it's a clue. It's a we verb, tenemos. We're going to skip the nice because you're only going to hear that in Spain. We're going to go to third person plural to say you guys have or they have. It'll be tienen.
Tienen.
So just like son had an N at the end, just like están had an N at the end, tienen has an N at the end. See the little patterns? That's why I put them in a different color. Okay. Vale. And I'll send you this whole slide. These are the form of tener. We might use them to talk about what rooms you have in your house. And there's where I want you to start thinking, besides recording your bigger numbers, you know, the blanks that'll be on that number chart. I also want you to take a look at all these verbs, and then you're going to be, we're going to be talking about some rooms in the house. And I want you to come in with a really brief description of what kind of rooms you have in your house or apartment. Okay. And I'll give you an example so that you kind of know what to do. Okay. So you're going to use tener in the actual concrete. I have this thing. Okay. Bien.
Bien.
What I'm going to show you next is the non-concrete, the weird way we use tener quite frequently in Spanish. And that is that tener does mean to own, possess stuff, like tengo un carro, I have a car. Mi familia tiene un perro, my family has a dog. Well, that's all pretty obvious. Whoop, perdón. Okay. But there are certain expressions that use tener. But in English, we would not use have ever, but they do. We would use am, is, are. but they don't use ser, am is are, and they don't use estar, am is are. In these specific expressions, I know it's going to feel weird. In Spanish, you are not cold. You have coldness. You have heat in your body temperature. That's the way they express that idea. And I'm going to tell you why this is super important, because this really is. Okay, so to say that a human being, not my cup of coffee, not a thing, but a human being, to say a person is hot, a person is cold, we use tener with calor, have heat, and tener with frío, have cold. So, okay, the way you say, I'm hot in August, because I live in this, in Arizona, tengo calor en agosto. I'm hot in August. I'm always hot in August. Tengo calor en agosto. Tengo calor. Tengo calor. See? Tengo calor. You will never forget what I'm going to tell you next. You are going to hear people using a variation of this word calor, which is caliente. Caliente. Even some songs use caliente. Caliente does mean hot, but it doesn't mean heat. It means hot. If you mistakenly say, I feel hot, you say how I feel or where I am. Oh, if for how you feel or where you are, we'll always use the verb estar. If you say estoy caliente, you are saying I am horny. And that is not a joke. That is for real. There are people who walk out and talk to their little neighbor in the Airbnb and say, oh, ¿cómo estás? And it's a hot day. So they say, I got this. Estoy caliente. Congratulations. You just told the guy in the next Airbnb that you are horny. Okay. You don't want to do that. Obviously, you don't want to do that. So what you want to say when it's, woo, 100 degrees, tengo calor en agosto. Tengo calor. If you want to say, I am cold, tengo frío. Tengo frío.
Real.
Yeah, not estoy frío. Tengo frío. For these other expressions, to say that you are an age, they literally say you have a number of years. That's the way they say it. They never say soy 50. I'm 50. That means I'm a great big number. No. What you need to say, tengo, with a number, and años. And really important, años, not anuses, años, but años, years. Roberto, oh, look at all the trouble we get into. Yeah. Okay. Roberto tiene 10 años. Roberto tiene 10 años. Roberto is 10. Okay. They also use tener with this special expression. You, in Spanish, you are not hungry. You have hunger. You have thirst. Okay. So, él tiene hambre. He is hungry. Ella tiene sed. She's thirsty. And if somebody is sleepy, they express that as ella tiene sueño. Sueño. These are special expressions that happen to use tener. In English, we don't use have. We say am, is, are, but they don't. With these specific expressions. Okay? Vale? Bien? Okay. There are others. There are others that also use tener. I'm just going to go through these quickly. These are maybe not as used as that first slide. They're super all like you hear it every day. These you may or may not hear. This one might be important because if somebody says, hey, be careful, you may hear it. Tener cuidado. Tengo mucho cuidado con el carro. I'm really careful with the car. Tener suerte. Tengo suerte con la lotería. I'm lucky with lotto.
The lottery.
Yeah. Tener razón, to be right. Papá no tiene razón. That is not right. Tener miedo. In Spanish, you have a fear. Actually, there are a bunch of ways to say it, but this is one. Ella tiene miedo a las serpientes. She literally has fear of snakes. Yeah. And tener prisa means to be in a hurry. Somebody might say, ooh, mira la hora. Ooh, mira la hora. Look at the hour, meaning look at the time. Mira la hora, tengo prisa. I'm in a hurry. Okay. So these I'd say are kind of a secondary tier, but you know, these are really, you hear people use these day in, day out to say they're hungry, they're thirsty, they're hot, they're cold, they're a certain age, all that. These expressions will use tener, and tener can be the just plain old generic, I have stuff. Okay, so it might be those special expressions. They're called idioms. I don't care that you know that, but they're idioms. They're non-translatable expressions. Yeah, we can't translate them word for word. Okay, bien. What you're going to, okay, bueno, I should pause. Alguna pregunta, any kind of question you got before we leave that subject. I sent you a great big long video where she did the to be or not to be. Did you all watch that? See? Okay, that's why they did that video, because depending on the meaning, the context, the situation, Spanish might use a bunch of different verbs. And it is a confusing thing. Don't think you're going to master it all, but you know, you will understand a lot of it before you can actually speak it. And that is totally normal situation. So, you know, if you did not, and you're too embarrassed to admit it, don't worry about it. If you did not watch this, for sure do go watch it, because they do a good job of breaking down when we use, you know, one or the other, or the third, or the fourth. Oh my God, there's so many ways. Okay. So here's what you're going to be doing. Also, you're going to watch a couple other videos, and they're going to say a whole bunch of words. Now, your audio in the book is going to say all of the verbs, and I think you need to move on to file number 2 once you get into chapter 4. I think that's where the transition. Oh no, it's still CD1. I stand corrected. Okay.
CD1, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's still on 1. Okay. They're going to say all the vocabulary words. It's going to go through a lot of vocabulary. It's going to show you what the forms of tener are, because we're going to talk about what you have in your house. Okay. And the videos I'm going to show are going to reinforce that, but they're going to approach it from a couple different viewpoints and show some slightly different vocabulary, like you know, basement or garage, and there are, and sometimes even when we get into the word bedroom, there are different words regionally, so that one they may use in one region or one country and not in another more frequently. So you're going to get 2 videos, 2 that talk about la casa, and everybody here who lives in the Southwest knows la casa. Okay, the house, but you're going to hear and get that pattern reinforced a lot. And I'm going to give you my example of what I would like you to be able to do. So this is going to involve a little bit of prep for you. I would like you to talk a little bit about your house. And I don't, you know, I'm not talking about like a term paper. We don't, none of that. But okay, por ejemplo, for example, just talk about what, like how many you've got in your house. And now, so don't look at the writing. Oh, perdón, I don't think I've got my share on. That's super unhelpful for you. So in other words, I want you to prepare something like, and there are different ways you can say that. You can either say, Tengo una sala. I've got a living room. Tengo una sala. I only have one. Yeah. Tengo una sala. Or you can say, mi casa tiene. My house has. Mi casa tiene una sala. See?
No.
Tengo en mi casa, in my house, en mi casa, tengo 4 habitaciones. 4 habitaciones. Mi casa tiene una cocina grande.
I don't know what.
Y mi casa tiene 3 baños. 3 baños. So I want it to be that simple. Okay, that simple. Just like kind of tell me how many rooms you've got of various categories in your house, right? Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Sí.
I don't
Sí.
want you to construct a huge paragraph or a term paper. Good God, no. Just talk very, very simply how many rooms, what kind of rooms you've got in your house, or apartamento, apartment. Depende, right? Depende. And we'll talk using those La Casa vocabulary words next week. Okay, so you'll have the book with audio, and then you're going to have a couple of very fun videos. Do be aware of one thing. In Spanish, I'm trying to find my slide that talks about this. Uy, ¿dónde está? Okay. You may like suddenly get this point where you have this doubt. When they get to the word for bedroom, there are many possible words that are used for
Dormitorio.
bedroom, and they really vary.
Mi cuarto.
Dormitorio means, ooh, sounds like dormitory. It means a bedroom. That one's easy to remember because you've got an English word that kind of helps you remember what dormitorio means. But in some regions, in some countries, the preferred word isn't really dormitorio. It might be just cuarto, which can mean a room in general or a bedroom. In some countries or regions, they prefer la habitación for bedroom, especially in a hotel. Habitación or cuarto are usually used to talk about a room in a hotel, just so you know. Some places even use alcoba. I personally don't use that word alcoba ever. I don't use la alcoba. I know what it is, but I don't use it. I usually use one of these two, personalmente, sí, el cuarto o la habitación. And yet there are a couple of other, there's one other, la pieza. Sometimes in Chile, you heard people using yet a different word. But do know that sometimes there are variations on the kind of vocabulary people may use, depending on where they live, okay? But they will all know what that means. They will all know what those interchangeable words mean. Make sense? See? Vale?
Sí.
Okay, bien. So, eso es todo. Wow, that's it. Ay, son las 11. It's 11. Son las 11. Son las 11. It's 11 o'clock. So, that's it. Eso es todo. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any question before we leave or no? So you're going to get more time for everybody to talk about how many rooms they've got in their house or apartment, apartamento. See?
Sí.
Sí.
Magnifico. You'll see some examples. Bueno, eso es todo. That'll be it for this week.